Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we are checking out Exceptional X-Men issue number 6, which just released. And before we get into the sort of beat by beat of the book, my overall thoughts on this is that the issue does keep up with the very strong storytelling that we've seen so far from Ewing. I really like how a lot of these newer mutant characters are being developed because they feel so real. We go to their families, we see their homes, we're starting to understand their personal stakes. This issue is where Alex takes the center stage. It's his focal point issue. We've had them for the other characters so far, so now it's his turn. Now this is probably the weaker of the focal point issues. A lot of Alex's story here is tied with this new character who is really likely not a new character and is just Mister Sinister, posing as Sheldon XENOS. So yeah, because it was sort of split between these two characters, it almost felt like Alex didn't get as big an opportunity to shine as Trista and Melee did. And then the other slight pitfall of this series so far I will mention here is if you're an Iceman fan, I think you're really not eating that well. He is appearing in the previews pretty often, but then as the issues go on, he's not really showing up in the actual meat of it. I will say the same with Emma Frost to some degree. I'm a huge Emma Frost lover, as people on this channel do know. But I'm a little disappointed that she's not taking a super active role in the story. I feel like even Kitty is maybe getting pushed away from the story a bit too. But I'm happy to continue reading. This is a slow burn, so, you know, I'm fine with that as well. I'm ready to see where they're going and what's developing. Alright, so let's get into the actual issue. A lot of our fight scenes in this series have been siloed off to the training room dojo that they have, and that is where we open mid-fight as Iceman is, you know, tossing around some ice punches. Kitty is recording them on her phone. Emma is, you know, she's taking notes on a tablet, I think. And Iceman duplicates himself here, showing off some awesome Omega level feats, but as I sort of mentioned earlier, that is really the most we're gonna get out of Iceman this issue. After this training session though, our new mutants are hungry, and Emma offers to order them more food, and we get this snack debate where they're like, no, we basically really don't want to be entangled with you on that level, so we're just gonna bring our own food and snacks, which is an interesting move in sort of the discussion that they point to here, which is establishing boundaries within this power dynamic. And students turning down financial support is an interesting thing to add in here from Ewing, because I feel like it's pretty revolutionary when it comes to X-Men academics. Emma herself is a bit taken aback by this, but accepts it, while Kitty is immediately on board with it, saying that that is a healthy boundary. But after this declaration, they also do say, but we're gonna need help finding jobs, which Emma sort of hits them back in her patented sardonic style, what happened to being independent. But Kitty's roommate Preeti comes to the rescue here because she walks in and she's basically like, oh, by the way, did I tell you guys my consulting firm is looking for 3 interns? And a bit Deus Ex Machina, but it propels the trio into their corporate internship, which we then cut to. This is also the strangest part of the book for me. I can't tell if it's written weirdly or there's something weird going on, but Preeti's decision to hire the mutants here seems to only be because they have a shared identity with her client, who is Sheldon XENOS, this also seemingly mutant character. I think the real big, you know, rug pull here is going to be that it's Sinister. We kind of have a teaser of the next issue's cover that leads us to believe that it is Sinister to some degree. But yeah, basically he just has this Verate app that is all about harvesting genetic data from young people and young mutants, it seems specifically, which kind of Sinister's thing. But what's really strange is that Preeti pushes them into this meeting with him. They're like super unprepared. It's their first day, they don't know what's going on, and she's like, okay, make your pitch. And they're like, okay, I guess we'll try. And they just start asking this guy what is up with his company and getting information about it like that. So a little bit of exposition for who he is and what he's doing, I guess, but this is done in such a strange way. I don't know. If this is just how it is, I don't know. I don't think I like it. Like, I'm hoping Preeti is under the control of Sinister or something, and she was used as a plant here, or I don't know, maybe she's just a bad guy. But it doesn't make sense for her to be like, okay, we have a really important client meeting. Let me put the 3 interns I just brought here, and I'm also going to call them consultants, and I'm just gonna let them lead the meeting. It's like, that's not how business works. But anyway, our new mutants and Sheldon Xenos sort of get into this debate about his app, and the demand for genetic and physiological data sort of crystallizes this complex discussion about autonomy and exploitation and commodification of identities that they sort of just start scratching the surface of here. And as they push back on this, sort of just calling it predatory gene harvesting, Preeti sort of pushes them out of the room, saying they have an urgent meeting to go to. So I guess now she realizes that this was a mistake to throw them in here just like that, but okay. Somehow Alex stays with Sheldon in there, and they begin to talk about Sheldon's business model and who he is and how he came to this a little bit further. And it seems like Alex has got a bit of an interest here, and Sheldon, I think, immediately identifies that, and this sort of, maybe he's not predatory, maybe he's a good guy secretly, and that's gonna be a big twist, but I'm gonna call it what it is for now. His predatory altruism sort of rhetorically shackles Alex, because he relates to this common struggle that is discussed between Alex and Sheldon, and that is this daily trauma of being hyper visible as a mutant in a world that is hostile to mutants. So he's willing to hear him out a little bit more, and genuinely believes optimistically that Sheldon is trying to do good for the world. And as Sheldon ends this by saying, you know, his app is designed to give everybody the chance to control a little bit of their own destiny, I think that really resonates with Alex precisely because visibility often denies him control over how he's perceived. And this technology that promises self-determination is probably feeling like a lifeline to him. As we cut to after work, as the team is walking home, the debate about Verate continues because Tao and Trista are still framing this as predatory, saying that it's sort of a stepping stone to things like eugenics, and in a sense is biopolitical capitalism, where this corporate entity is potentially going to be weaponizing personal data to reinforce whatever systemic control they want to reinforce. Alex, however, is more open to seeing it as a tool for personal agency, even going so far as to call out Trista and Tao because they are mutants who can pass as humans, which grants them conditional safety and easier social integration than he has faced. We see his perspective and this point exemplified on the next page too, when we see him going somewhere over the weekend morning, and as he's taking the bus, there is a child cowering in the arms of their mother because they are afraid of him visually, so we can use that from his lived experience to get some idea of why he's falling down this thought rabbit hole. We then discover that Alex is out and about because he has set up a meeting with Sheldon, who is very much so buttering him up at this point. He's complimenting his intelligence, he's saying that he wants him in his plans after graduation, and then, all of a sudden, in broad daylight, we get two attackers who try and mug Sheldon and Alex. And this is our other little bit of action for the issue, where Alex disarms the attackers and he uses his powers to influence and change the emotional state of the attackers, so they just go into each other's arms and, you know, are professing their love for each other, since I guess they were a couple and there's some backstory that was created here for why they were doing what they're doing. And then a moment of the issue that I really did enjoy was later that evening, we go to Alex's house, or his apartment, I guess, and we begin to meet more of our ensemble cast. We meet Alex's father here, we meet his little sister, and we meet one of their apartment neighbors, I'm guessing, Danny. And I like this moment where our characters, and our young ones specifically, get to have moments of reflection on what's going on in their world with their family. I think that's a really important aspect that we sometimes don't get in X-Men comics. And then, oh my goodness, Kitty's girlfriend is still around. We get a Nina appearance this issue who invites Kitty to her grandma's 90th birthday party, so maybe we'll get to see that in an upcoming issue. Again, I'm still a little dubious about Nina and her intentions. Just if you're curious about it, go watch my review for issue number 2 as we analyze some of Nina's expressions and takes in that issue just seemed a little off. And just as Alex was reflecting with his family, then we get a quick little moment where Kitty is reflecting with Emma, and she poses this question of, are we capable of normalcy? Which is an interesting thing to be bringing up here, and I'm really interested to see how that evolves with what Kitty's internally struggling with, since we haven't gotten too big a focus on her in the past few issues. And Emma kind of somberly answers, I am not the right one to ask that, Kitty. Kitty, which is also pretty interesting, so I hope we get some insight on what Emma is thinking in future issues too. But as our new mutants start showing up for their training session, we quickly learn that this debate between them and Sheldon XENOS and the Verate app has continued, with them trying to get Emma and Kitty to weigh in on the debate against Alex, who is saying, look, he's just been inspired by his personal experiences to try and make an impact on the world and inherited diseases and with how genes interact with their environment. So this could help cancer, this could help asthma, this could help all sorts of medical innovations. And Tao is already pretty aggressive to Alex with this subject, and it probably is not going to be the right methodology for getting him to change his mind here. And to make matters worse, Kitty also tags on to this, and she starts getting heated and irritated about it as well. And so they're just all really just arguing with this teenager who's falling down a different thought trajectory that is ultimately harmful to him, but because he's been subject to the silver tongue of Sheldon, he's bought into it. And I like this moment where Emma sort of cautions Kitty. She says, take a breath, Kitty. Having had her more villainous moments over the years, I think Emma sees that if you just continue plowing forward aggressively like this against his ideas, then he's just going to be pushed further and further away from you. And Kitty is of course just saying things based off her lived experience and the emotional passion that comes with that too, but Alex gives his own impassioned speech about how maybe they were just around bad people and that there are some people out there with good intentions. And as he's saying that, we cut to Sheldon XENOS and we learn that the two muggers in the park were actually hired by him, so it was an orchestrated event likely to make Alex feel important and powerful while he's around Sheldon. But that is our end of this issue. That is our to be continued page. Alright guys, let me know what you thought of this issue. I think there's a few pitfalls this time that I'm having trouble suspending my disbelief for, but overall I think the storytelling is still very strong, I think the artwork is still impeccable, and we've still got something really good cooking here. So with that, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and you all have a great rest of your day.